The world's animals are in big trouble. Many could be extinct in the next 20 years. Join me, Lyndall Davies, as we answer their SOS and throw out a $10,000 lifeline. We're headed to Brazil and to its biggest city, Sao Paulo. Brazil is a hotspot for the illegal pet trade. Rescuing these animals and getting them back to the wild is dangerous work, but that's what we'll be doing.
Hi, I'm Lyndall Davies, and I'm in a street market in Brazil. This is where the locals come to buy fruit, vegetables, meats and other household items. In fact, you can buy just about anything here, including something that's highly illegal: wild animals. The black market trade in wildlife in Brazil brings in more than $1 billion every year. But the good thing is things are starting to change, and we're right in at the beginning.
We're teaming up with SOS Fauna. They're on the front line of the battle to change things for Brazil's animals. Working with the police on the streets of Sao Paulo, they have the dangerous job of confiscating animals that have been taken from the wild. And this is what our $10,000 lifeline has been spent on: Brazil's first animal transit centre. The cages are built and the rent is paid for the next year. In the past, Marcelo Rocha, the team leader, had to keep many of the rescued animals in his own backyard, with no hope of ever releasing them. The problem is that these birds, like so many of the confiscated animals, come from thousands of kilometres away. SOS Fauna hasn't had the facilities or money to get them home. As of today, that's set to change.
It's a big day for SOS Fauna and for these little birds here. These red-crested cardinals, they're the first admissions to SOS Fauna's new transit centre.
What makes this place so great is that every animal that checks in will be guaranteed a ticket back to the wild. It's been Marcelo's dream to establish a network of transit centres across Brazil. What he needed was the funds to set up the first one. Our lifeline money has achieved that. If SOS Fauna can show it's possible to get confiscated animals back to where they came from, Marcelo believes the funding will keep coming. That means other animals will follow. All kinds of monkey, wildcats, otters, anteaters, and many, many more. All victims of the pet trade, and all of them looking for a way home. With the cages built, SOS Fauna can crack down hard on the illegal animal traders.
Now that we've got the new transit centre set up, we can go and rescue some animals, and that's what we're doing today. We've been invited along by the police on a raid of some local markets. But to do that, we have to get undercover, because if they recognise us as being foreign, it could blow the whole operation.
Right. Bruno and Alexandra are old pros at this. The key is blending in.
We have to dress like the locals do.
We also have to hide the cameras and cover up the blonde hair.
Alexandra, what usually happens when the police move in?
Well, we can be pretty sure that everyone will run.
They'll just take off?
Yes, they take off.
If the traders spot us, we could blow the whole operation. We're on our way. With a population of almost 20 million, Sao Paulo is one of the biggest cities in the world. And like any big city, it's got a crime problem. The illegal wildlife trade is an easy way to make serious money. These photos from police files show the extent of the problem. If you can get a monkey to the US, it'll fetch up to $100,000. A macaw is worth $30,000. That's 5 times the average salary in Brazil. The market we're raiding is in one of the most dangerous parts of the city. Guns and knives are all too common round here. It doesn't take us long to find wild animals for sale. The police are in position. Suddenly, the raid is on.
Basically, we've got 17 police officers here in 4 groups, and it's grab who you can as fast as you can because they all just take off. They got the guns out. That's one. Got the birds there.
And there's plenty more to come. This is going to be a large haul. Anyone with a bag is a suspect. It could have dozens of wild animals crammed inside.
I tell you what was really scary about that, we wanted to get our disguises off as quickly as we could because as we were trying to get the camera up, our cameraman here actually had a gun to his head because the police thought with his big bag he was one of the dealers.
The police timed their raid perfectly. Most of the traders had just set up and hadn't made many sales. It looks like we'll be confiscating hundreds of birds today.
It's illegal to take any animal from the wild in Brazil. But you can see here we've got birds, more birds. There's a really big trade going on here in the local markets.
Wild birds are the most popular pet in Brazil. They're a status symbol and highly sought after in most households. We're confiscating the cages as well. It just makes it that little bit harder for the traders to set up in business again. The police have also been stopping cars in the area. This one is full of cages, and there are more live birds. But there's another problem.
Just quietly, we've got the birds, but there's a bit of a hold-up because one of the cars that they've stopped that actually was full of cages is owned by a police officer, and they've also arrested 2 police officers, which is a bit embarrassing for the police force, but I don't think they quite know what to do at the moment, but it's all a little bit edgy now.
There's no option. The 2 policemen they've caught are going to the station along with the rest of the animal traders. It's a tight squeeze. I guess these guys will get the feeling of what life's been like for the birds.
Just look at all these cages, the birds. It's a great result. It's what we were after. But the best thing about this is that with the SOS Fauna Transit Centre, we know we can now get these birds back to the wild.
At the police station, the hard work starts for Fernanda, SOS Fauna's vet. The first job is to get the birds into larger cages where they can stretch their wings. Many are also desperate for food and water. And some need emergency treatment. No wonder up to 7 out of 10 die before they even get to market. It's going to take several hours to deal with all the birds. Before we can take them to the transit centre, each one must be identified and logged into the police database. The names of the traders will also be recorded and they'll receive a fine. During the raid, we seized travelling boxes used to smuggle birds. Inside what looked like an ordinary suitcase, we found 24 cages. This sound speaker concealed more cages. And this is no radio. It's yet another bird cage. It was early evening when we got back to the transit centre. The final total from our first raid was 128 new arrivals. After 4 weeks in quarantine, all of these birds will be released into the wild again. The transit centre is finally in business. Many of the animals confiscated by SOS Fauna come from thousands of kilometres away. If they're going to get them back to the wild, they'll need the cooperation of wildlife sanctuaries right across Brazil. We'll be visiting 2 hotspots to check out the options: the state of Bahia in central Brazil and the Amazon in the country's far north, 2 very different regions. Bahia is dry with sparse vegetation. It's home to many of the smaller birds we confiscated at the street market, like the red-crested cardinals. The Amazon couldn't be more different. Living in the lush rainforest are some of the world's most exotic animals. This is where most of the monkeys come from for the wildlife trade. And monkeys are the most prized pets of all. Word travels fast in a city like Sao Paulo. Project Mucky, a monkey sanctuary, has heard about the new transit centre. It can't afford to get its animals back to the wild, so it's hoping SOS Fauna can help.
What makes this place really special is it only takes in injured monkeys. So by coming here and seeing these animals, you get a really good idea of the physical and the mental damage that the wildlife trade can do to some animals.
These are marmosets, the smallest of all monkeys, and that makes them really popular as pets. They're worth a lot of money. In Brazil, a marmoset can fetch up to $5,000. Smuggle one out and the price rockets to $100,000.
So they do.
If only people realised how dangerous life as a pet can be for a wild animal. This little one lost half his face and a leg after falling onto a cooking stove. This one was paralysed from the waist down after being crushed in a doorway. Now he needs round-the-clock attention, including toileting.
Just like with people, when animals are injured, it can be a long road to recovery. And this little guy here, he's about to start his physio. Okay?
When he came in, he was malnourished, and it's caused long-term damage, an all too common story.
This is hydrotherapy. He doesn't like being in the water. So what we're going to do is we hold him in there, just above the water, and he'll start struggling with his legs, moving them around. And that's great for building up those muscles that have really weakened. He's getting a nice massage there, and that'd really be helping to alleviate the pain. Oh, he's getting a little bit impatient here, so I'll just give him a branch, something to hang on to. There you go, there you go. There. That'll keep him occupied. They actually get this 4 times a week for about 20 minutes a day.
All this physio works wonders. Project Mucky cares for 164 injured monkeys. Over 60 of them are now ready for release.
Just giving his legs a nice stretch out there. The good news is this guy's well on his way to a full recovery. But the tragedy is he won't be going anywhere. There's no chance of him going back to his home because that's a long way away. And this place, it just doesn't have the funds to get him there.
That's why the transit centre is so important. Hopefully it will be able to help this sanctuary and many others transport their animals back to the wild. On the streets of Sao Paulo, it's time for more raids. SOS Fauna has had several houses under surveillance for the last few weeks.
The area we're in here is known for its trade in wildlife, so if you're after something illegal, this is the place to come. And for the past couple of weeks, Marcelo and the team from SOS Fauna, they've been checking out this area, walking the streets, looking for something suspicious. And so far, they've found 10 properties, and we're just going to start having a closer look at them today.
The police have warned us to be careful. We're putting these traders out of business, and they won't like it.
So all of these birds we can see along here, they're illegal, but we just need to see if they've got anything else hidden away.
The owners of the house run a pet shop next door, where they sell legal animals and pet food. But it doesn't take Marcelo long to find evidence that they're also making money on the black market. These traps explain all those wild birds we found in the passageway.
What they've got there are bird traps, also illegal. Obviously, if you've got a bird trap, you're taking an animal from the wild.
The pet shop owner will be arrested and fined. But with the illegal trade so profitable, that's unlikely to stop him reoffending. Marcelo needs to persuade him that dealing in wild animals is something he should be ashamed of. While we were raiding the pet shop, another raid was going on close by.
Wow. Just 2 blocks away from where we were, and this is the result of another raid that was happening at exactly the same time as our raid. The thing is, all these illegal animal dealers tend to know each other, so if they hadn't happened at the same time, our guy would have been tipping off these guys.
Today's raids will have really hit the traders where it hurts, in their pocket.
That's a total of 54 birds from just 2 houses we raided, which is a really good result because at the end of the day, these raids will be sending out a really strong message to people out there. It's illegal to keep wild animals and action will be taken.
The transit centre is filling up. Luckily, it's only 4 weeks until we take our first shipment of birds back to the wild. Alexandra has already started getting the necessary permissions from the Department of Wildlife. There's a mountain of paperwork to get through. Remember, nobody has tried to do this before. Then there's the logistics. A 5-hour flight to Bahia, then a 4-hour hot and dusty drive to the release site. Our birds will need a recovery stop after the flight. That's what I'm checking out today. I've flown to Bahia with the rest of the SOS Fauna team. We're hoping to rest our animals here, the local government wildlife centre. Octacilio and Hosanna, who run the centre, are very pleased to see us. They're keen to form a partnership with SOS Fauna. Step inside the building and you find out why. The cages here are full of animals. There are forest otters, wild cats, anteaters, monkeys and many species of bird. Most, like these beautiful macaws, are from the Amazon. There are even pumas. This male and female were confiscated from an illegal zoo. Like all the other animals here, at the moment they have no hope of getting back to the wild. Once again, there's no money and no system in place. If only people realised how wild animals suffer in captivity, then maybe they'd think twice about buying one. SOS Fauna's work also includes talking to poachers and trying to persuade them to stop catching animals. Bahia is where many of the smaller birds come from. We're heading out to meet a bird trapper who's prepared to talk to us. Looking around me, it's obvious the land is badly in need of rain. The rivers are dry and the earth's like dust. On the journey out, Bruno from SOS Fauna told me that the farmers out here are struggling just to feed themselves.
Take a look at all this dead corn. The people around here are really doing it tough because of the drought.
We've definitely come to the right house. The farmer's making no secret of the fact that he deals in birds. It turns out this is one of the worst years the family has ever known. The farmer tells us he can't grow anything, he can't get a job, and there's no help from the government. At the moment, poaching is providing the money for him to feed his family.
Okay, he is able to capture 1 or 2 birds daily, maybe 3, and receive $1, $2 or less for them.
US
dollars.
That is such a small amount of money, and imagine trying to feed 4 children and your wife on that each day. Not easy.
What the man is doing is illegal, but it's impossible to make a judgment here. Anybody would be tempted to do the same in his position. It was time to put the traps out for the day. A chance for Bruno and I to see how it was done.
You can see this is a really good place to catch birds, and that's because of these thorny trees here. That means the birds can build their nests in there and they're protected from predators like snakes. Okay, this is how it works. Very simple process. These are the traps. We have the bird in the middle cage, which attracts the other birds. Once they come in here to pick at the feed, they just, well, there you go. They tread on that and it slams the cage door down shut on them. So we're just going to pop it up here.
The bird in the cage is a red-crested cardinal, just like the ones we're going to release here. Its call will attract other birds. The idea is with one bird in the cage, the others won't be afraid to come down and feed on the seed. And with the drought on, the birds will be hungry. Here they are. It's taken less than 5 minutes for them to come in.
Let's stop this before one actually gets in there, yeah?
Okay.
Okay. I think we've seen more than enough. It's only a matter of time before we catch a bird in this trap. Then it's off to market, a long, stressful journey that it mightn't even survive.
This is where the birds will end up, on a bus destined for the market thousands of kilometres away in Sao Paulo. Brazil's main north to south truck route runs through Bahia. SOS Fauna has joined up with the highway police to search buses and lorries. Octacilio and Hosanna from the Wildlife Department are also here. If we find any animals, they have the authority to confiscate them.
What we're doing is we're stopping the vehicles that have been coming from up north because that's where most of the illegal animals are coming from.
It's important to search the whole vehicle, and that includes the cab.
This is what we're looking for. If it's got a tag like this, it means it's come from a secure company. In other words, the contents in this truck haven't been tampered with. So this one's okay.
It looks as if the police are pretty relaxed, but the truth is it's dangerous work. If a vehicle's carrying illegal goods such as animals, there's a good possibility that the driver will be armed.
No tag on this one. So we're going to take a closer look at what's inside.
Most of these vehicles go north from Sao Paulo fully loaded and return south half empty. There's plenty of room for a few cages to be taken on board, and the drivers can be pretty inventive where they hide them. The lorries sometimes have hundreds of animals stowed away. On a bus, you're more likely to find just one or two hidden in the luggage.
And you can see up here, it's on its way to Sao Paulo.
Once again, everything looks calm. But just 4 months ago, 3 policemen were shot on a bus doing a search exactly like this. Okay, it looks as if Hosanna's spotted something. No tags on the lock? That means this lorry has probably been opened illegally since it left its last depot.
Olha, Fernanda, tá na mão, Fernanda. Tá cheio.
Looks like we've got something. Oh. Anything else? We've got 3 toucans so far.
Periquito, periquito da caatinga.
Some
Olha.
parakeets.
Tá cheio.
Is there anything else there, Marcelo?
É.
Oh, look at them.
Tem mais aqui, ó. 3.
Yeah.
Nossa, olha isso.
This is what we were expecting. A lorry coming from up north heading back south, half loaded, and generally, so I'm told, they'll be carrying some extra cargo, and that's exactly what this one was doing.
No food, no water.
No food, no water. Probably travelling for about 24, maybe 36 hours so far, and they're not looking in good condition. Look, these parakeets are a mess. 12 parakeets and the 3 toucans. And I'll just show you this. These toucans, absolutely beautiful animals. They're endangered, but it's worth the drivers taking the risk, because a toucan, just one of these toucans, will get about 700, maybe 800 US dollars at the market in Sao Paulo. And in the poorer parts up north, that's over a year's wage for one bird.
The driver of this truck is in serious trouble. For starters, the police will confiscate the vehicle until a large fine is paid. As quickly as we can, we get the animals to the government centre. We need to get them out of those small cages and give them food and water as fast as possible. The parakeets are in very bad condition. They were caught by putting glue onto a platform which was spread with seed to lure them in. The glue's all over their feet and feathers. They've also had their wings clipped. The only way to get the feathers to grow back again is to pull out the clipped ones. It's painful, but it has to be done. These toucans have had a very long journey, all the way from the Amazon. If SOS Fauna is to get them home, it'll need more halfway houses even further north. And that's where I'm headed, to check out options in the Amazon. Like most visitors to the Amazon, my first stop is Manaus, a major river port and centre for the tourist trade. Here you can have your photo taken with a wild animal. But before you do, it's worth remembering this monkey's mother was probably killed to capture it. And here's the most gentle of all the Amazon's animals, the sloth. They're incredibly shy and sensitive. This one must be really stressed. This anaconda is kept in a box that's far too small for it. Anacondas are the largest snakes in the world and can grow up to 30 feet or 10 metres long. With no room to stretch out, it's bound to be suffering from back pain. Even the souvenirs are a problem. If you visit somewhere like this, try not to buy anything that's come from an animal. I've come to Manaus to check out a monkey sanctuary, Floresta Viva. It could be a vital link for SOS Fauna if they're to get monkeys confiscated in Sao Paulo back to the wild. I'm with Christian, who runs the sanctuary, and I've timed my visit perfectly. A new arrival is checking in.
We've got a little woolly monkey here now. He's just been handed in to government officials. He's not in very good condition, and it's quite a common story. The people, they couldn't afford the vet bills, so they've given him up. But this little guy, he's one of the lucky ones because he comes from this area, and that means he can be released.
Animals that come here go back to the wild. It's just the sort of place SOS Fauna needs to be working with.
Our monkey has 2 main stages ahead of him. First, he has to pass quarantine. We don't know what diseases he might have picked up from his contact with humans, and the last thing we want is him taking those diseases back to the wild. Then, once he passes quarantine, it's stage 2, and that's the rehabilitation process. He has to learn how to be a wild monkey once again.
There's plenty of room to move about in the quarantine cages. That way the monkeys can build up their climbing muscles.
Hey! This guy's got a little friend here. He only came in yesterday, so it's good. He won't be quite as stressed with a bit of company. All right, should we let him go?
Yeah.
Come on, here you go. Here you go.
After 2 months in quarantine, the cage door will be opened and the monkeys will be free to move into the forest.
He's just a little bit nervous, so it's probably best if we just get out of the cage and leave him to settle down.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's all been a bit much for our little monkey. Just imagine what he's been through. He spent 3 years as a pet, tied up with a rope around his neck. And since his owners handed him in, he's been carted from one strange place to another. At last, he can get some rest.
This is a great place to see wild monkey behaviour because once our monkeys are released, they hang around here if they want to and pick up some extra food. Oh, there's all sorts.
After seeing so many animals in cages in Brazil, it's fantastic seeing these monkeys where they should be, leaping around the trees.
See that one there? That's the one they call the Englishman, and you can guess why. Red face, been in the sun too long, and you wouldn't see red hair around these parts.
With rain on the way, the monkeys head for cover. I'll be reporting to SOS Fauna that this would be a great place to release monkeys rescued in Sao Paulo. Back in the city, SOS Fauna and the police are continuing their crackdown on illegal traders. Truckloads of animals are being confiscated. And remember all those cages we collected during our first market raid? Well, they're finally being put to good use. They're being used as an educational tool in the city, helping young people to learn that wild animals shouldn't be kept as pets. Destroying the cages sends out a really strong message. And, judging from their reaction, it's getting across loud and clear. The transit centre is filling up. The sooner we get our first birds back to the wild, the better. There's still 2 weeks to go before the transit centre releases its birds, which means I can continue my journey up the Amazon. I'm on the Amazon Arc, sponsored by Whisper, the World Society for the Protection of Animals. They're also trying to stop the illegal pet trade, focusing on education.
Now this is a pretty special boat. It's got veterinarians on board, medical equipment, and it's also a teaching facility. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be visiting villages and towns all the way along the river. At the end of the day, we want to try and stop the poaching problem right at the source. And one of the ways of doing this is actually changing the way people think about animals. It's going to be a pretty interesting trip.
One of the first things that strikes me is how much land has been cleared. Vast areas of the forest have been cut down for beef farming. We've already lost 15% of the Amazon jungle, and the rest is disappearing fast. The Amazon Arc's first stop is a little fishing village. I'm with Elizabeth McGregor from Whisper. She's dedicated her life to helping Brazil's animals. We've also got our teachers and vets with us. The team last visited here 12 months ago. They're keen to see if the education campaign is working, improving the way people treat their animals. There's a good turnout, and with a free vet check being offered, the children have all brought their pets.
What have we got here? Oh, some parrots. Got a parrot. Oh, and a turtle. He's lovely, isn't he? Oh, this is going to be really hard today because, you know, these children obviously love their pets, and why shouldn't they have pets? Kids all around the world do, but the problem is some of these pets are actually wild animals. Oh.
Seeing all these wild animals about, it makes you realise just how important the Amazon Ark's education program is.
It's amazing the difference these sorts of projects can make. The Amazon Ark's only been here once, that was just over a year ago, and look at the interest it's already generating. These children here are really starting to value wildlife, and that's what the whole project is all about.
Our two vets have set up their mobile clinic around the back of the hall. And there are plenty of customers ready and waiting.
Here's our first arrival at the vet clinic. We've got a duck, a pet duck, and I guess probably one of the first things we're going to be talking to the boy about is how he's keeping the pet duck. Not the best thing to have fishing wire tied around its little foot. Okay? Here we go. Over here. There you go. Oh, we'll put him up here.
This isn't a domestic duck, it's a wild one. We'd like to set it free, but it's no good telling the little boy off. Instead, Stella asks him how he'd feel if he was tied up all day. Maybe he should think about releasing his duck. It's difficult for the vets because the children are so proud of their pets, but they need to understand that a lot of them would be much happier back in the wild. Along with the more exotic species, there are the usual domestic pets. But whatever the animal, the vets can always give advice how to keep it healthy and happy.
Oh, this little girl's brought her pet in. It's a monkey. It looks like a... Turn around. That's a spider monkey. The last place it should be is in someone's home as a pet. Stella?
This is going to be a tricky one to sort out. At least the monkey looks healthy.
We're just going to move away from all these children here. The monkey's really stressed with all the noise and activity. And just go and have a closer look at it.
We need to be really careful here. The monkey's only a baby, probably taken from its natural mother when he was just weeks old. He'll have grown very attached to the girl and will see her as his new mother.
This little spider monkey would stay with his mum until he was about a year old, so really the best thing we can do for him now, given he's only 6 months old, is let him stay with this little girl, give her some advice on how to look after him, lots of love and care and the right food, and then hopefully when he's old enough he'll be able to go back to the wild.
After the vets have seen all the animals, the children are given a big treat, an ice cream. And of course, the monkey has some too. It looks as if the vets will need to give some firm advice about the diet he should be on. As the day draws to a close, band practice starts in the village. But the work's not over for our vets. There's one last job, a horse clinic. These horses carry heavy loads from sunrise to sunset, up to half a tonne, and many have health problems. This one's halter has badly rubbed him. Some antiseptic will help, and if the owner can't afford it, we'll replace the damaged halter with a new one.
Oh, look at this one's eye here. Sometimes children can be quite cruel, and of course that's what the Amazon Ark's all about, trying to change people's attitudes. You can see its eye? That was from a slingshot that a little boy flicked a stone into the horse's eye.
Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do for him. He's lost his sight forever. On the bright side, most of the horses appear in pretty good condition. The Amazon Ark was here a year ago, and the campaign to treat them better seems to be working. But life could still be made a lot easier for them.
The main problem for all these horses here is they just haven't got any protection on their feet. Just imagine that load pushing down on them every day. But we do have some good news. The Amazon Ark, on their next trip, is going to get a farrier in here to get them some shoes.
The work Whisper's doing is crucial. If the trade in wild animals is ever going to stop, we need to teach respect and compassion for every animal, domestic or wild. I've got time for one other stop before I head back to Sao Paulo for our bird release. It's a small village popular with tourists. Elizabeth from Whisper has been here before, and we're back for a very special reason. 6 months ago, she received a letter from an English tourist telling her about a three-legged dog that was in terrible condition. Amazingly, Elizabeth tracked the dog down to this village. It was given veterinary treatment, and she's also been providing food for it. It's all a bit overwhelming for the dog's owner. She just can't believe that people care so much about her dog, Papageno. We're off to find him. It's a pretty hard life for pets out here. With no vet care, injuries can often bring infection, and that can mean death.
Oh, sweetie.
And here he is, Papageno. He got in a fight, was bitten badly and lost his leg. But look at him now. He's put on heaps of weight and is enjoying life again. But it's not just about Papageno. It's about showing the villagers that compassion for animals is a good thing.
This really is an amazing story. To think 5 months ago, Elizabeth never thought she'd even find the dog. It was looking for a needle in a haystack, so to speak. She found him, she's been sending food to him, and now here he is, looking a lot better.
Elizabeth hopes the care she's shown Papageno will encourage the villagers to look after all their animals better. But there's still a long way to go. Just a few houses away, we found this monkey tied up.
They're specifically here for the tourists, aren't they? For when the tourists come in, they want to have their photos taken with a monkey. Oh. It really is terrible seeing animals in this type of situation. But on the bright side, the owner obviously cares for it greatly. And I guess in future what we can really hope for is that the Amazon Arc will make a difference, will change the way people think, and will stop people taking animals from the wild.
It's a long-term plan, but in the meantime, it's good to know that all across Brazil, there are people trying to make things better for the animals. It's time for me to return to Sao Paulo. The release of the transit centre's first birds is just days away. My journey takes me back to the port of Manaus. I'd heard that meat from wild animals, or bushmeat, is often sold in the market.
Now, I haven't brought the film crew with me today because what I'm trying to do is find bushmeat. And if they saw a big camera here, then they wouldn't show us anything. But I'm told there's a really good chance at this market we'll find some.
Bushmeat is illegal, so it's rarely on display. It's usually hidden behind the counters. Turtles, one of the most popular illegal meats in Brazil. And the trade is having a devastating effect on the wild population. On the next stall, there was more on offer. The animals are kept whole so that customers can be sure they're not being cheated. This way they can be certain they're buying bushmeat.
That's a large forest rat, also illegal to take from the wild.
With wild animals so threatened in the Amazon, it's sad to see bushmeat so readily available. And this is one of the most prized animals of all. It's a manatee, and its meat is highly sought after. I'm with Stella, one of the vets from the Amazon Arc. She runs a centre for orphaned manatees. These little ones lost their mothers after they were killed for the meat trade. They're drinking milk now, but when they grow up, they'll graze on water grass from the bed of the Amazon. They're the river equivalent of a cow.
It's really hard to believe that anybody could harm a manatee. They're such gentle creatures. What usually happens is the fishermen will kill the mother and then take pity on the little one, thinking it's too young to kill. And what they'll do is they'll then take it home and keep it as a pet Sometimes they've even been known to put holes in their tail and then tether them up just like a dog, which is really cruel. This is the perfect day to visit the sanctuary. The tanks, they've been empty for cleaning, and that means we can get up nice and close to the manatees and give them their health checks.
These guys are about 3 years old. They already weigh around 200 kilos, 450 pounds, and as fully grown adults, they'll be double that. They're old enough to go it alone, and it won't be long before the centre will be releasing them straight back into the Amazon River. They're the lucky ones. Most of Brazil's captive animals have a much longer journey ahead before they can be returned to the wild. Back in Sao Paulo, we've got an early start. It's a big day for SOS Fauna and for all wildlife in Brazil. The transit centre's first shipment of birds is about to be loaded on a plane and start the journey home. This is the first time confiscated animals have been flown back to where they came from. Alexandra's drawn the short straw again. She's on paperwork. It's not easy. The forms are designed to be used for baggage, not birds. Fernanda, our vet, makes final checks before we hand the birds over. It's a nervous moment for everybody. So many hopes for the future rest on our birds arriving safely in Bahia. All we can do now is keep our fingers crossed. At last, our birds are on their way. The 36-hour lorry journey south that brought them to Sao Paulo is replaced by a 5-hour flight north back to Bahia. And touchdown means they're almost home. 8 hours after loading the birds, we pull into the Government Wildlife Centre, the halfway house. Octacilio and Hosanna have everything prepared. There's an empty aviary for our birds to rest and recuperate in. They look good, plenty of energy, so the long journey hasn't knocked them about too much, which is great. This is what we've all been working so hard towards. Our birds will soon be flying free. 2 days later, the birds have recovered from the flight and are ready to take to the skies again. This time, they'll use their own wings. And they'll be joined by 50 more birds from the government centre.
It seems incredible that we're actually here and the birds are going home when you consider everything they've been through. Now, a few months ago, these guys would have been captured from the wild, put in tiny cages, transported thousands of kilometres, bouncing around in the back of a truck, and then it was off to market. No food, no water. And then we rescued them, and here they are, finally going home. And I can tell you, when these birds are flying around later, they're really going to have something to sing about, their freedom. Okay, Marcella, let's do it.
The successful release of these birds proves it is possible to transport animals confiscated in Sao Paulo back to where they came from. And it was our lifeline money that gave SOS Fauna the kickstart it needed.
That's it, Marcelo. Well done.
This is just the beginning. There's now hope for the monkeys, wildcats and anteaters. And if SOS Fauna can raise the funds, maybe those pumas will make it back to the Amazon. But there's a long road ahead. With $1 billion interest to protect, the illegal wildlife business won't be giving up easily. SOS Fauna has its work cut out.
Oh, there it is.
Watching the birds fly away, I made a wish that they'd never see a cage again.